This is a roll of Aerochrome, the most expensive, sought-after, expired film that the film community tries to sell to itself. And this video is why you shouldn't buy this film stock. Now let me explain.
Oh boy, I have been to Sommes Island so many times and I've never been up in just this little spot right here, and wow, I just found a cool new vantage point that I've never seen before. Gotta be really careful here. Now I've just shot some infrared film, and technically I also have infrared film here. If I remember correctly, and I don't know if you can see me very well, but if I remember correctly, Aerochrome infrared requires a 100 ISO, because the Aerochrome version is 400 ISO, but Aerochrome infrared itself is 100 ISO. And then when I go ahead and meter here with my phone, I've got 80th of a second f8. This specialty one-of-a-kind pano camera does f8, and it will do 75th of a second. Now this camera here does not have a thread mount, so I'm gonna have to go ahead and hold it like this to get my image and put it to infinite. We will see how well this goes.
I was afraid I'd get a photo like this, more faded than my memory after a few drinks. So reason number one why this film stock is not something that you should buy. It's expired, and that brings a lot of complications. One is, at the price point, you really can't do tests with it, like buying a bunch of the film and then shooting one roll and going, this is how I should actually shoot it. Because it's so expensive, you probably cannot afford a test roll, which is what I normally do when I buy expired film. The other reason why this film stock sucks when it comes to being expired is that there's more than one kind of this expired film stock. It turns out that with this film stock, there is two versions of it. Well, actually three versions. Let me explain. So you've got the 120 Aerochrome version. Now this stuff is hand cut out of Australia, I believe, and was sent all around the world. So the 120 stuff, which is cut from a bigger roll, is a 400 ISO film stock, whereas the normal Aerochrome is a 200 ISO film stock and comes in two variations. The first variation is the E6, which has the newer box. But if you see some that are in this older box, they most likely are an E4 version. Now, whilst E4 stopped being the main type of slide film in the 70s, when it comes to Aerochrome, it wasn't until 1993 that this was the case. Which means that if you get a roll from, let's say, 89 like I did, and not pay attention to the data sheet, you will have no photos, because the E6 will go ahead and destroy your film roll. If you have an E4 version of this film, you are going to have it processed in C41, which means you don't get the whole slide film experience that you would do with either the Aerochrome version or with the post 1993 version, which is supposed to be developed as slide film.
This is probably not the right camera to be shooting such an expensive film. It cost me about $300 New Zealand for the roll. But we only live once, right? F8, F11. Now I'm not focusing for infrared because everything else needs to be in focus. Make sure I have the trigger, and we will see how well that turned out.
And well, it turned out expired. And also, labs, please don't put tape on your sleeves like this. God damn. Now, as I've alluded to, this film stock is expensive. And I mean expensive. It is just getting more and more expensive. And to be honest, with what I have seen or what I have shot, it's not necessarily worth it. It'd be great for you to try it if you could, but to be honest, can you really afford to waste $600 or so on a bunch of photos? And for some of those photos to be absolutely garbage, because let's be honest, most of us aren't actually that good at photography. And I'll be the first to admit that experimentation is a lot of fun, but it doesn't actually make you a good photographer. It does give you awareness of how to do things in more unique manners and create things a little bit unorthodox, but it is a bit of distraction from the fundamental basics.
Okay, so I couldn't resist. This is actually what I was waiting for, this spot to go ahead and shoot my Aerochrome. I've been shooting other stuff today, and yeah, I can't turn this down. So I looked, it's not actually 100 ISO, it's 200 ISO for Aerochrome infrared. I think the Aerochrome is the 400, which is somehow a different film stock. So with this filter, okay, that is 3 photos. That, and with the orange filter, those are some expensive ass photos. Jesus.
Now we're getting to the part of the roll where you can see that some of the photos are coming out a little bit better. I don't know why, but I'm glad that I kind of got some cool-ish photos here, even if they aren't the most best representation of what this film stock could be. Now, one thing to note is that not all cameras work with this film stock. And me using this camera here to go ahead and photograph with this film stock probably was not the smartest idea, mainly because it's a custom one-of-a-kind built pano camera and it doesn't necessarily focus perfectly. Now, the reason why I did shoot with this is not only could I not afford a Hasselblad X-Pan, but cameras like the Hasselblad X-Pan do not work very well with films like Aerochrome, because in the back of the camera it has a sensor, and that sensor shoots infrared light to read the film and know where it is currently up to in terms of number of frames. So some cameras do not work with this film stock, and what that means is that depending on your camera, you might not be able to use it with this film stock, which means that you will have to go ahead and either borrow a camera or buy another camera. And just because you've bought some film stock isn't an excuse for going ahead and buying a camera, unless it's medium format, but even then, maybe buy the medium format camera first.
Well, I saddled up my shoes, headed out at dawn. Yeah, I saddled up my shoes, headed out at dawn. place gonna hold me when the road keep rolling on. Left my baby crying, said you can't live that way. Left my baby crying, said you can't live that way. I told her love ain't chained down, it just comes and drifts away. Yeah.
Reason number 4, loading this film stock sucks. And I'll explain why. Because this film stock needs to be handled entirely in darkness, because supposedly the infrared light can somehow get through the felt trapping that blocks out normal light. I have seen a few people load this film stock with no issues. With my first roll, I loaded it in a cupboard because I was impatient to load it and I didn't have a dark bag. Not everyone has a dark bag, not everyone has a dark space to load this film stock, and even if you do, loading 35mm into a film camera is just a pain in the ass if you can't see what you're doing. It's just a nuisance. So that's reason number 4 why you probably shouldn't buy this film stock. It's just going to make your life more difficult. Now, reason number 5 doesn't affect those that shoot black and white, at least those that shoot black and white properly. One thing with this film stock is that it is incredibly sensitive to blue light. But because you don't need blue light to create an image with an infrared color sensitive film, because all you need is the infrared red and green channel to be your red, green, and blue, you don't need that blue light. So you need a yellow filter at least, if not an orange or a red filter, to remove the blue light from the scene so it doesn't hit the film and therefore doesn't muddy up your triangle that you are trying to work with. Now that does mean that if you buy this film stock, you're going to have to buy those filters. That being said, you can go buy those filters because you damn well bloody well should. They are really handy, and from my experience, you don't need a fancy yellow or orange filter or red filter to get the look. I will say though that more expensive filters are more likely to give you a sharper image. But that being said, when it comes to how the color science works fundamentally, you do not need to get an expensive filter, but you are going to need to buy more filters, which is probably something you should do, but it is an extra cost. So that is reason number 5. So now that I've said all those reasons, and I've shown you a fucked up roll of Aerochrome that was quite clearly a waste of money that I could have spent otherwise, maybe on a deposit on a house, or at least helping with a deposit on a house. And I've also shown you my very first roll that was fucked up. You're still not going to listen to me. You're still going to go ahead, and if you spot a roll for a good price, you're going to go buy it. And I'm probably going to buy it too. But these are all the reasons why I think you probably shouldn't buy Aerochrome. And I'm not just trying to tell you that just so that I can hoard the film myself. I do legitimately think that it's probably not worth it. That being said, like and subscribe for more, because I do have another video coming up where I shot another roll of Aerochrome and I have some really cool, unique banger photos. So, as always, it's been real, guys. Until next time.